Welcome back to the Sports Cage. Maz and Barney here. We're with Mike Merklinger now. He's I've always wanted to talk to the ice guys. I'm like fascinated with a few things in life. Flight, sometimes space, and curling ice. I've been to a lot of different small towns and bonspiels, and then I see you guys do it in the hockey rinks. Mike, how many years have you been doing curling ice?
I've been doing curling ice pretty much all my life. I grew up in a curling club. My dad's an ice maker. He's still making ice. So I grew up, as a junior curler at clubs he was making ice at, following him around, working for him in high school. So I've been around the sport most of my life. So
do you like to curl as well? Like, did at some point where you wanted to be a curler, or you always kind of want to be the ice tech guy?
All throughout my teens and 20s and early 30s, I wanted to be where these guys are right now, right? Going to the Brier, winning the Brier. But, there comes a time in life where you have to kind of make a decision where you commit the time to the sport, or do you get a job and start working, right? And so I think I'm at a point now, once I got out of my competitive years of curling and trying to get here, I think I prefer making the ice for these guys now rather than trying to get here.
So Mike, the question I have, so you're in the Moose Jaw Event Center or the Temple Garden Center, yeah, and it's normally a hockey rink most of the time. For the uneducated, because I'm fascinated like Barney when I see, hockey ice and curling ice, completely different. What happened? Did you guys have to melt the hockey ice and then put in the curling ice? Does it go on top? How does this all work?
When we come into these arenas to make championship ice, we actually build our ice right on top of their ice, right on top of the hockey ice. So when we're done and we clear out on Sunday night and take everything out, all our carpet and walkways and all the drapes and scoreboards, it's the arena staff gets it back down. They cut it back down with their ice machines and cut it right back down to their hockey ice, and they'll be skating again in a couple days.
How thickness on top of that? Because hockey ice isn't that thick, especially in a facility like that. So what are you guys putting on?
Yeah, their ice was about an inch thick when we started, 3/4 to 1 inch thick, and we built probably an inch to an inch and a half max on top of that.
Okay. All the ice that you've done, or maybe it was even your dad, and stories. Give us a story of a place that was really tricky back in the day, because I've interviewed some guys that curled back in the 80s. There was like a Thunder Bay Brier. They had doors cracked open. One side of the sheet was curling different than the other side. People were smoking. Is there any cool stories like that?
You know what? So far in my career, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had any of those, terrible arenas where it's really hard to make ice, and everything's been good for me so far. But I know back in the day, those guys like my dad and the old time ice makers had some pretty terrible experiences, and my dad even started getting a nickname, Frosty, because it seemed like every arena he went into, the frost was so bad, and the ice was, it's really makes for bad curling ice when you have frost problems.
So you said something there. What makes good curling ice as opposed to bad curling ice? Because I think a lot of us that are watching or listening to this, we've all curled somewhere before, and to most of us, we would have no idea good or bad. In your mind, what's the difference between championship caliber, which they're playing on in Moose Jaw right now, that you built, to could be better?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of club ice that's really good. Any curling club could have nice, fast ice, consistent curl. But these guys are at such a high level that they can walk out there and throw on that ice and make it look pretty average. So these guys want maximum curl, consistent speeds all the time. So they're looking for 5 feet of curl for a draw. Whereas most curling clubs, you might from 2 to 4, maybe 5, but your average curler, if they played on this ice with 5 feet of curl, it would probably curl 6 or 7 for them, right? Just because they don't throw the same.
Is there like a stimp meter in golf? that you have something that tests this?
Not really. I just crouch down on the hack and throw rocks, and I can gauge. I can gauge from the way I throw. If it curls, 7 feet for me, then that'll be perfect for them. You know what I mean? They're going to make it curl 5.
Now, since you have that, you talked about having that competitive fire at one point in your life, and then you decided to be like, do the curling ice thing full time. So far, from what we've seen on TV, the curling looks outstanding. What have you seen with your own eyes from the teams and the games you've watched?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty great teams out here. I mean, there's Olympic champions, there's world champions. I mean, these guys play in the tour, a lot of them, like the Slam Tour and at all the high level events. So, I mean, you've got some of the best teams for sure in the world here.
And my last one, I got to curl last year after the Brier. They went down to 2 sheets, and then the sponsors had an event where we got to curl on the other 2. And I tell you, there were some guys that were walking across the game sheets. What's the biggest faux pas that you see, or when you want to go and tackle someone and handcuff them and throw them out?
You know what? We're going to do the same thing here this week, I think, on Saturday night. But at that point, it's, the sheets are going to be on or out of commission, for the final days. So, yeah, they can do whatever they want to it. At that point, it doesn't matter. At the beginning, Thursday night before this all started, it's kind of a tradition we do now. We invite the local teams out, from the club, and they play a fun game Thursday night, before the event actually starts, right? And that's always good for the whichever community it's in, and it's good for us as ice makers because we can kind of watch some of the club curlers, throw rocks and kind of get an idea of what's happening before it all starts.
And that, okay, maybe I got one more. What are your hours when this event's on? Are you like the greenskeeper at like the big golf tournaments? Like you're working around the clock almost, taking care of it, making sure no one's around?
Yeah, we get here 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're here until the last stone of the evening draw is thrown, which is usually around 10 o'clock, 10:30. So very long days. So it's a long 2 weeks for sure.
All right, and so with that, I was just saying, is it proper protocol if you want to buy the ice team a drink in the patch? Like, are you allowed? Like, I know you got work to do, but I mean, hey, it's still a Brier, still a world championship.
Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
But by that, you're cutting into your sleep for sure at that time.
Did you bury anything in the ice? If there's like a loony or a toonie, or did you some sort of like something from the moose? I don't know if you went and checked it out.
He can't say, it's too early. We got to win, and then they'll divulge what's in the ice.
No, I know that was the thing at the, I believe it was the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver where they buried the loony. But no, I've actually never done that. I'm a little superstitious, but that's not one of them.
Mike, know you're busy. You're down in the bowels there of Temple Garden Center. Thanks for doing this and giving us a look behind what it takes to make ice.
Hey, no problem.
Right on. Head